This episode of Super Carlin Brothers is brought to you by Loot Crate.
Hey, brother!
And welcome everyone to another Super Carlin Brothers review. Today we are talking Captain Mar-vell, and just a heads up, this is a spoiler review.
You have been warned. I am so excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah, me too. This was like, I didn't know very much about Captain Mar-vell, which I almost enjoy because it's like I don't have many expectations going in.
Right.
But man, I'm excited to dive into it.
Yes, it's going to be great.
Guys, special thanks to today's sponsor, Loot Crate, specifically their Gear and Good Mar-vell box. We are going to be opening up this box and finding out what's inside at the end of the video, so stick around for that.
Okay, so diving right on into the review, I think like one of the biggest things coming into this movie was my expectations were kind of all over the place.
Oh, me too, because but since Infinity War came out, we knew that between that and Endgame, we were getting Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Mar-vell.
Right.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I have to tell you, maybe lowest stakes Marvel movie ever.
Like basically ant-sized stakes.
Yes.
It was kind of like this one person in our inner circle is having an issue with this one thing, and realistically, if they were just like, hey, could you help? They would be like, yeah, definitely, like collaboration, great.
Yeah, right. The villain, if it just asked and told them the problem, they'd have just helped, and that would have been the end.
And that would have been the end.
Yeah.
So it was a little like fall flatty.
Yeah, enjoyable, but
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's the thing that was like these Marvel movies have us in such a state of like high stakes.
Yeah.
That when they are low, it's kind of like, okay. Which I would say like as an accolade to like Spider-Man Homecoming, where like the stakes weren't super massive, but it still ended up being a fantastic movie.
Agreed.
I feel like Ant-Man and the Wasp introduced a lot of things that I have a feeling are going to be important in Endgame, and then coming into Captain Mar-vell, you sort of had this unique situation because it's basically taking place chronologically before every single Marvel movie we have so far, other than
Captain America.
Captain America, the first Avenger.
Right.
So coming into that, it presents like an interesting like stakes issue because they can only be so high to the point where the rest of the world forever hasn't referred to like, you know, like the attack on New York.
The attack on New York,
Avengers.
right, exactly. So how do you make this? But on the other hand, you also, like, I didn't know a ton about Captain Mar-vell,
Right.
but I got the impression seeing the trailers and sort of talking to other people that she's like pretty limitlessly powerful.
Oh,
so you're sort of just like, what can they do that doesn't necessarily like reverberate on Earth forever, that everyone's talking about, the incident,
Right.
that also is able to demonstrate her power to the maximum ability. And then why hasn't she been helping with any of the other stuff if she's been around this long? So, and then it's like maybe the obvious thing is like, just don't have it take place on Earth.
Right.
But Nick Fury's in it, so pretty much had to be on Earth. They're giving you more his backstory too.
Sure.
Pretty fun.
Well, and the other kind of like big thing that comes with such an OP character is like a couple of issues. One of them is like, we have Endgame, like the big finish line, the grand finale, like, you know, the stakes cannot be any higher than what we're doing going into Endgame. And the introduction of such a crazy, powerful character, like literally not even 90 days before the release of the finish, it's like, okay, guys, like, I swear, if you shoehorn in this, like, oh, that's how they'll beat him.
Oh, yeah,
right
if the way they beat Thanos is that Captain Mar-vell just shows up and is like, I've got super sparkle fist, pff, we win! Like,
Photon blast!
Oh, that'd be...
Why didn't you guys do that?
Yeah.
We didn't think of it?
I'm sure you did your best.
They could do that again, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that
they
would,
could do,
not so bad. Call back to that great Shuri moment from Infinity War.
I have a feeling how they're going to work her in, specifically into Endgame, but we can circle back to that.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, going back into this movie, I will tell you that I was hopeful but skeptical walking into it because actually of Brie Larson, which was so surprising because she's so good.
Yeah.
But in the trailers, I don't know what it was that was difficult to like convey about how much charm she would ultimately have.
Right.
But like it wasn't coming across to me just through the trailers where I was like, is she gonna be able to like like, is she gonna carry it with this character? Like, how is it gonna go? It ended up being great.
Yeah,
was my thought on it.
The trailers were tricky because they wanted to like show you her being like super powerful, but they also wanted to give you that like charismatic side of her.
Right.
But it's happening so fast and so like right next to each other. Like, do those two totally mix? But they totally do.
They totally do. And the way that they did her charisma, I thought was like so great. Like, she wasn't so goofy and lighthearted that she like verged on being Star-Lord or something.
Right.
Like, she's still a very admirable character.
Yes.
At the end of the day, but it also seemed like throughout the entirety of the movie, most of the time she was never taking anything too seriously.
Yeah, which is really fun because she is taking stuff seriously.
She is.
But it's like her approach to every conversation is just to kind of like be pretty flippant about it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And like no matter, I think maybe my favorite one is at a point where she's talking to her old Air Force friend. And she's reminding her how she woke her up early one day to go race cars to get to the airfield. And she's like, and you took a shortcut and cheated. And she's like, at this point, she doesn't even remember that situation ever even happening.
Right.
But she's like immediately defensive about her past decisions. She's like, oh, since I was taking a shortcut, not allowed. He's like, since it broke the rules of predetermined combat or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah,
she's just like,
it's so funny. She's literally defending something that she has no recollection of, but she's like, I stand by it.
yeah,
I stand by it.
I don't know the situation. If I did it, I was right. Don't worry about it. I got it.
Right. Yeah. No, and I would say that carried over even to another character that I'm always skeptical about, which is Samuel L. Jackson, where I know a lot of people, we got right here.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people absolutely love him. He's like a character in the MCU that like you so rarely actually see do anything at all. He's just sort of this like wild card who typically has all the information.
Right, he has the information. He doles it out very selectively. You never know the full. He's very Dumbledore-y in that way. He's just like, you do what I say because I said so, because I know, and you don't know. And it's like, but if you told me, I would just know. And he's like, no.
No. Eye patch, trust me.
Yeah, don't you worry.
Yeah. So it was super fun, I think, to even see him be so whimsical.
Oh, yeah,
throughout the entirety of the movie.
Definitely Nick Fury, my favorite Nick Fury performance thus far.
Yeah, for sure.
In the MCU.
Yeah, when he's doing like the thing with the tape.
Oh, yeah.
And like he's doing like the old school like spy tactics where it's like you see him like breaking out the little piece and like putting it on the thing and pulling it off and like using it on the keypad. It's like every single spy movie from the 90s you've ever seen has done that move.
Yeah.
And then you go down like the hallway and she just like blasts the hole in the door. And he's like, you let me play with tape?
They've been sitting there for like half an hour. Yeah.
Right.
Trying to figure something out.
So funny. No, I thought that was super fun. And it gives you like a little bit more of a picture as to like who Nick Fury maybe was.
Right.
I don't even know that you could say more of who he is.
Right.
Because I don't know that
He definitely felt different from later Nick Fury. Like he is more lighthearted. He hasn't quite seen everything yet.
Right. To the point where he can't take the time to joke. But now you know that if he did have that kind of time, he totally would.
He would totally be hilarious.
Totally hilarious.
Indeed. All right, I want to jump back to the very, very, very beginning of the movie.
Okay.
And we'll just maybe we'll just go through a little bit.
Okay.
So before the movie even starts, and I don't know if you thought this was an Easter egg or not. I personally thought it was an Easter egg. They keep doing like the big Marvel Studios logo, thing right there. Okay. They switch it up a lot, but at the beginning of this one, they're showing you like scripts from movies, and they show you the words, "With great power comes great responsibility."
I saw that.
And I was like, wait a second, did I see that? What was that? Which is, it stands out because everyone knows that's the thing Uncle Ben says to Peter Parker.
Right.
But that hasn't happened.
Right.
In an MCU movie yet. That hasn't happened since the Tobey Maguire movie.
Right.
It's just like, wait a second, was that a script from Spider-Man? Are we gonna see it happen? Is it gonna be Tony? Who's gonna say it? I want to.
I so think it's gonna be Tony. I feel like Tony. Oh, there's so many different directions they could go with this, and this would be like a very brief tangent. But like Tony and Pepper have like the conversation about having a kid, and it's like you might think, oh, in Endgame we'll see them have a kid, or could be the case they don't have a kid, and like Peter continues to sort of like become this adoptive son, and he's the one who ultimately says it to him as he takes the helm of the Sokovia Accords Council that like leads the Avengers. That'd
be
thinking.
Cool.
That's my
thinking.
thinking.
Yeah.
So
wise.
Okay. I think that he is going to become the person who is trying to pull the gears on what all of the supers below him are doing.
Okay.
That's based on one frame from the opening scene that has no plot at all. That's like my 2-minute take on it.
That might not even be a reference to Spider-Man. It might be a reference to the rest of the logo reveal, which was very
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee. Yeah, it was this nice tribute. So all of the letters start having Stan's face in them and all of his cameos from the other movies. Yeah, and then even before it started, it says, "Thank you, Stan." It was like, oh, that was really nice. That was pretty good.
It hits you square in the feels.
Yeah, you're like, oh no.
Right. It's like, you're not supposed to be crying already.
Yeah, jeez.
That being said, I am actually kind of hopeful that there is still yet another tribute in Endgame.
I'm sure there will be.
I feel like that's like the big capstone piece.
Because that was the last thing he cameoed in. I'm pretty sure it was Endgame.
I believe so.
So
yeah.
how fitting, right?
Right. Very
My
cool.
goodness.
Very cool how that went down. And that was obviously a super nice tribute.
Yeah. So anyway, then we get into the movie. We open on like some flashback, and she like awakens, and you find she's already on the Kree Empire. She's like, you've seen her have like the blue blood on her hands, and she's like waking up Jude Law's character to like want to fight, like getting ahead on her soldiering because she wants to use her powers at maximum.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like, okay, so that was an interesting thing, and I guess I wasn't totally sure. Like, so this is me being slightly ignorant about Captain Marvel going into the movie, but not knowing how her powers worked, and like, I knew that she had like Kree blood, but it's like, okay, well, if she has Kree blood, that shouldn't make her more powerful than an actual Kree.
Sure.
Like, the blood itself can't be the thing that has like, made her so very powerful. So I didn't know, even in the beginning, like fight sequences, if like Jude Law's character was just a lot better at like containing his, and he's like, no, like the proper form of contact is control. It's lack of emotion. It's like using your intelligence to win and not your emotions to win.
Right.
But she keeps wanting to like summon the big like,
photon blast out of her.
Right.
But even then you don't maybe necessarily know, like, does he have a power too? Can he do it? And they use the phrase, what has been given can be taken away, which you later find out is it's just like master manipulation upon her. And they've like put some sort of like, I don't know, limiter in her neck or something.
Which Marvel's use of limiters in neck, going back to like Thor Ragnarok, where it's like a small electrical taser in his neck is the thing that can slow down Thor, the god of thunder.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, are you shocking him? Because he uses lightning.
Right.
How can he not just, like, rip this thing out? I don't understand. Yeah, similar situation here where she got in her neck. But you don't know that at the time.
Right.
You think they have just given it to her. I thought this movie plays so well. Like, one of the overarching themes of the movie is trust. Like,
yes.
Who can you trust? And this movie plays this game with you, with, like, it's playing it with the audience as much as it is with the characters.
Sure.
Oh man, to a lot of levels, I really respect the way they went about this. Like, so you have, I'm totally losing my train of thought. So you have like the casting specifically of Jude Law and Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes.
I want to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Ben Mendelsohn, like, classic villain all the time and always.
All the time.
He's Rogue One. Like,
he's Rogue One. He's Ready Player One. There's some Bloodline on Netflix.
Yeah.
He's like, Ben Mendelsohn is a great villain.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he shows up in this one, and he's showing up and he's like infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's like some big top boss guy, and you're like, oh my god, he's the Skrull. And the audience have been told that the Skrull are bad. And then on the other side of things, you have Jude Law. And Jude Law is the complete opposite. He's like Dumbledore, and he's Dr. Watson, and he's like the ultimate good guy.
Yeah. Got those perfect blue eyes. No, so you're absolutely right. Like, we're walking into it. You, like, because of the casting, have these preconceived notions about these characters. You know that the Skrull are supposed to be the bad guys, but on the flip end of that, we also know that the Kree eventually end up being bad guys.
Right, because you know Ronan's going to be in this movie, and you know that the one guy that I can't remember from Guardians is like part of their crew.
Right.
And you're like, there's a few shots even where they frame him in the background, sort of like walking around in the shadows, and you're like, oh, he's going to turn on them, or he's like a Skrull or something. So you already know some of the Kree end up being bad, but you think, oh, this Starfleet, her team is good, but then also the Skrull are going to be bad, and it's going to be, tiny group against many. I've seen this, but
the total predictable scenario, you're exactly right, was going to be the thing where, like, not all Kree are bad, and most of the Kree in her crew are good, but one of them is a turncoat.
Right.
I thought that ultimately you were going to see him lead to the demise of the rest of the team, and she was going to make it out alive, and he was going to escape, and that was like how you were going to end the movie.
Yeah.
With, like, knowing in the future that he goes on to.
Oh yeah, I mean they're totally setting it up for you, because they show you Jude Law talking to Ronan, and like there's a bit of tension there, and you're like, Jude Law is such a good Kree, and Ronan's such like a do anything, the ends always justify the means kind of Kree.
Right.
But then there's like someone slipped. There's like a mole, like someone slipped a code out somewhere, and you're like, I know who that was because I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
But like, nope, none of that comes to pass at all. Everyone's just bad.
Right. But so yeah, then ultimately, like, I guess, like, as this movie starts like trudging forward, you start like having these moments where Ben Mendelsohn or Talos is having a conversation, sort of like pleading his case, like, no, we are not the bad guys, like, we're just trying to find our people, like, our planet was destroyed, and it's like, even that can so be a manipulation. Like, you play into people's like sympathy, empathy, like, this idea of like how I'm not going to try to use the power of like force over top of you. I'm going to try to trick you into putting your guard down.
Which is the whole Skrulls, like, their whole thing.
Right.
It's like they've already lured you into thinking that the Skrulls are the bad guys, and then here comes this guy, and like, even as he's explaining it to her, he's got a guy on the little girl outside, like, making sure they listen to him.
Right.
Like, listen to me or I'll kill that girl. And you're like, well, that doesn't sound like a nice guy thing to say, but he's just like, there is some intimidation because he has to have like some sort of like power, but he's also like, I really need you to listen to me, dude.
Right. Like, I don't know what else to do with it. This is my skill.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. All right. Well, so yeah, they go on. I loved that whole scene, the way it like unfolds though, because this is the Skrull trying to plead their case to, like, we're the good guys. Like, listen to what actually happened. Then you see this flashback where you learn how Captain Marvel, Carol, actually got her powers. She got hit with like the Tesseract blast or whatever.
Right. Well, the engine or whatever it was that was created.
Yeah. And then you see that her mentor is like killed by the Jude Law character, Yonrog, who, man, I can't remember when they said his name. I had to look it up later.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're going to come back to that real quick.
Okay.
But then, like, you come out of that and you're like, oh, man, Jude Law's the bad guy. No way. But then it's like, are you falling for it?
Right.
Like, or are you going to find out later in the movie that Jude Law is going to explain the rest of that memory and be like, actually.
Yes, yeah. Like, and that is where things, for me, being where we are, like where we research things so much in advance, things got tricky. Looking at you, IMDb. Okay, so one of the things that I knew going into this movie is that Jude Law was cast as Dr. Walters, aka mar-vell.
Yeah.
So the entirety of the movie, I'm like, it must be that, I think it was Dr. Susan Walters. I might have that wrong, but the doctor that Carol has been like looking up to and part of her team. The whole time I kept thinking like he was actually going to have been like her husband or something.
Sure.
It's like, and like in the back of my mind throughout the whole movie, I'm like, we think he's a bad guy. We thought he was a good guy. Then we thought he was a bad guy, but he's gonna be a good guy, like, because he is mar-vell, and there's no way that like that he ends up being a villain, because we know that like from history.
Yeah.
And so, like, the entirety of the movie, I'm waiting for it to happen, and ultimately, it never happens. And after the movie, I'm like, what happened? Like, so I pulled the IMDb up. They changed the name.
They changed the names. They changed, so maybe it's not IMDb's fault, but whoever reported it up there.
Whoever reports it to IMDb, yeah.
So sneaky, though.
It is a weird precedent.
Sneaky.
We've never seen it done before. Sometimes we've seen names excluded.
Right,
like,
and then you're like, which is its own red flag. You're like, well, there's a reason they're not telling us.
Exactly. So, and we are always able to use like our deductive powers on that. But like, it's an interesting precedent to sort of like red herring it, where they send you in a complete different direction with your assumptions.
It's so sneaky because, especially just given the nature of the movie, because in the actual comics, mar-vell is the first Captain Marvel.
Right.
And then, you see him training her, and that kind of makes sense that, okay, maybe that's how it's going to work out. And then you've also got this, like, world of shape-shifting people. So it's like, even though you think Dr. Walters or whatever died, it's like, wouldn't it be a really big plot twist, like, oh, the Skrulls come in and say, no, actually, we're the good guys, but then double plot twist, the guy who was the leader of the Krees has been a Skrull the whole time.
Right.
And he's a good guy, and, you know.
Yeah, you just didn't know what direction it was going to take.
The body swap, they just did it so well.
Yeah.
It was just not ever super obvious who was who, and it just makes it so you can't trust anything you're seeing in any moment until everything's on the table. But
you definitely, like, you get to a point in the movie, and I do think the movie does a really good job of, once they land that hook in you, you are aware enough about how little you should trust anybody's identity that you start to just be on the edge of your seat for the rest of the movie.
Oh, it's it was so good.
You're so leaned in.
And they just do it immediately.
Yeah.
Like, they show you the first round, I think, is Coulson, where Nick Fury and Coulson show up on the scene, they get out of the car together, and then the next time you see him, it's already happened.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God! They totally fooled me. I did not see that at all.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's super interesting, and there's a lot of, like, precedent set with the shape-shifting ability, because there is so many rules that they, like, give us, which we love.
Yes.
Because, for one, this movie stuck to canon incredibly well. Like, all of the existing universe things, it very much stayed true to.
Yeah.
Which I think means the information they were giving us will continue to be true going forward. Right. Which gives us a lot of interesting ideas about, like, how and who and what can be a Skrull.
Right, yes. It's like, here's the rules. This is how, if someone, like, it just opens the theory door to, like, who's a Skrull?
Right.
Who's a Skrull? Because you know what? They didn't tell us this stuff for no reason.
Right.
Someone's a Skrull.
and it's so interesting because you don't know, again, like, so close to the release of Endgame, and knowing that they're not just going to make Captain Marvel the ace in the hole, like, that's how we win. It's like, what details from this movie are going to go on to be influential with Endgame and sort of like the big wrap up. And I do think that it's possible that someone we know on screen, we only think we know.
Right, that's totally possible. Yeah. But then the other possibility is that they give you all this information, and then it's all just for, like, Captain Marvel 2.
Exactly.
Rather than specifically Endgame.
And this is like how our feeble human brains work. But, like, when we have something like the big box that we want, like, everything to fit into, which is, you know, all the Avengers movies, every new detail from every most close movie release to the big one, you just want to pick and choose all the fun details and immediately apply it to the...
Yes, you do.
As if Captain Marvel will be, like, the #1 influencing movie on the entirety of Endgame, which won't be the case, but I know... I have had so many, like, all my thoughts are like, what happens in Endgame now? Like, what do we take away?
How does this affect Endgame? That's exactly. And so what you just said, though, I think really came through for me a lot in this movie, where like, it felt like it was part of an existing universe.
Yes.
Like, when you're watching this, it's like, unlike how maybe when you watched Winter Soldier, or like the first Avenger, or Iron Man, or Thor, or something, where they didn't maybe necessarily know exactly where the MCU was going or what all the established rules were. Like, we're 20 plus movies in now, and it's like, the rules have been established, and it felt like we are playing this movie inside the MCU. Like, they don't draw any attention. Like, those little hexagon travel portal things that keep jumping through, like, that's from Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's like, of course that's how they travel. We established that in another movie. This is how it's done. And, like, it really felt inside a very familiar universe.
Right.
Which I really, really liked. I was just like, that, for me, made it, like, so much more fun as I was watching it.
And that is something that I think people will drastically underestimate the value of, because we have, like, when it goes... You see it go wrong. I think that we've seen it go wrong with the Harry Potter series, and I think we've seen it go wrong with Star Wars, where it's like, sometimes, like, you don't want to do too much fan service where you're just doing everything everybody's already aware of. But when you start introducing stuff that then conflicts with other information that we've ever seen before, like, it's sort of like, well, why didn't they just do this? You know, like, why didn't they just shoot one of the carriers in Star Wars through the Death Star?
Right.
Like, at light speed.
Yeah.
Like,
wouldn't that have worked?
Wouldn't that have worked?
So it worked.
Yeah. Why could they have not done that? And so that is where I really have to applaud what Marvel has done. And I think going forward, we're going to see it only continue to work better and better, where there's going to be like little breadcrumbs being dropped all along the way, because they know how much we as the audience love the big picture.
Yeah. I feel like, going forward, every movie will like start out as part of a larger story that someone knows from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that was a definite just feeling I got from the movie. And yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yes.
I will also, so this is another thing I really appreciated, was that we talked about the overarching theme of trust. Another one of the overarching themes throughout this was just like the girl powerness of it.
Yep.
Was it totally is. But I will say I really like that it wasn't like, it was not very heavy-handed. Like, it wasn't the point of the movie at all, but it was present.
And it was so interesting because we have Jordan, who works in the office with us, and she was talking about, like, how much she, like, saw herself in that moment when you get, like, the montage scene of Carol standing up as a little kid. Like, she fell down, but she got up. And, like, I was like, sitting there drinking my coffee, and I was like, what's interesting is I saw myself.
Right.
Like, it's not just, like Captain Marvel is, like, this hero for, like, little girls and women to look up to as, like, an idol, but it's just everyone, like, can relate to that phenomenon.
Yeah,
like,
where you, like, got knocked down but had to get back up.
Exactly. Like, you have that memory as a child. So, no, I think that it was absolutely, like, spectacular. And it reminded me a lot of, like, Black Panther, where, you know, there could be underlying themes and things that are, like, relevant to, like, you know, social issues of the day. But, like, the best possible thing is you go in and just enjoy the movie all throughout, like, because it's great.
It would have been very easy for them to have some sort of conversation where they're like, let's go show them what women can do, and it'd be like, you know, but they didn't do that at all.
Right.
They just I really like, in particular, her Carol's relationship with Maria, where, like, the two of them are really good friends. And the reason they ended up, like, getting to know each other is because of this, like, really sexist,
early military environment.
Early Air Force, rule where, like, women couldn't fly in combat in the Air Force, or is what they say in the movie anyway.
Sure.
And it's just like, that's not the reason, that's not, like, the basis of their friendship, but they are friends because of this sexist rule.
Sure.
And it's like, but they don't draw too much attention to it or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just liked it. And then even at the very end, I think the other big moment is obviously when she's fighting against Jude Law, and he's like trying to get her down to his level because he knows he can't win.
Right.
And he's like, prove that you can beat me. She just like blasts him.
Boom!
Oh, that was the best moment.
I don't have to prove anything to you.
Oh, it's like, that was the moment where she's like, I don't have to prove anything to you. And it's like, you know, she's saying that to him on a personal level, but it also felt like she was like speaking as like, I don't know, a woman in like a feminist kind of way to like the exterior world.
Like I think even with that, it's this phenomenon that like people in general have this thought that they need to like prove themselves to the world. Like they put too much value into everything.
Sure.
And it's almost like if you can overcome this thought, like overcome the psychological like belief that like if somebody sets expectations to you that like you then want to match them.
Right.
And it's like, do you like, does it matter? Or is it all about like the way you value yourself?
Yeah, no, that is, you're right. That is definitely, a big, I think, another part of that message.
Right. Yeah. So, no, I don't know. I thought the overall messaging of the movie was spectacular and awesome. And
the other thing we definitely have to talk about is the cat, aka
Goose!
The Flurkin Goose. Oh man, I love it because we totally called. Well, I mean, I said we called it. I mean, if you read the comics at all, you were not in the dark about this.
It was reasonably accurate, and actually, like, we did get this little like Fury action figure that has like the Flurkin with the muzzle on it, which, like, if you look into the lore, is in fact how to prevent a Flurkin attack.
Yeah,
is to muzzle it. So when we saw that, it was like. Yes, that's a Flurkin.
That's a Flurkin right there, there. Mm-hmm.
But it was so fun that ended up being a thing, and I think like even there was a little bit of that moment going back to like Thor Ragnarok where Thor is like the most powerful Avenger or whatever, and then Bruce walks up and it says, "Welcome, most powerful Avenger." It's
Yeah.
like, that can't be right. Like they do like the scan on the Flurkin though, and it's like danger level, like extremely high. And then like they do Fury, and it's like danger level, little to none.
And he's like, well, that can't be right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I like that little play. It was very fun to see the Flurkin also do the like full blown alien.
Oh, yeah,
now
like,
tentacle
yeah.
monster. Whatever. What did you think about the way that Nick Fury loses his eye?
Oh man! So I am glad that we correctly predicted that it would happen in this movie.
Yes, go us.
Go us.
We're
Ooh,
amazing.
yay. Obviously. Pat on the back. No one saw that coming with one eye. But I liked that they fake you out early in the movie with him like being in a car crash or something and like busting up his eye, and you're like, was that it?
Wait, yeah, right.
Is that gonna happen? And then it's like, no, it's fine. And then he was good for the rest of the movie until eventually Goose does scratch his eye, and you're like, and he's like, that's good. And they're laughing at him. They're like, no.
Yeah, he cuts the Talos, and he's just like, no, it's not gonna be okay.
It's not gonna be okay. You just lost that eye, my friend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I like that. I honestly, I almost wish there had been a second fake out as well. Like, where like things kept almost hitting him in the eye or something. And
Oh,
they
sure,
just like
sure.
were totally messing with you. But it ended up totally fine. I thought it was a good way to do it. It makes me wonder because when he talks about the eye later in like Winter Soldier, he's like, the last time I trusted somebody, this happened or whatever. It's like,
right.
Oh, was the somebody the cat? Is that what happened? Is that who you're talking about?
That is one area, yeah, where it's a little fuzzy based on what we know right now as to how that will ultimately end up working.
Yeah.
I think that one might need a little bit more explanation because like it seems like last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. It's like, and then I just continue to trust it and keep it as a cat in my office at all times with me.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Or maybe he was talking more specifically about Carol.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's possible. Also, I definitely, I don't know. Let me ask you, what did you think about how he came up with the Avengers initiative at the end?
I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion.
Go for it.
I feel like some people are going to be like, I got chills.
I mean, it was one of those things where I was like, I know what they're doing to me right now, and I'm still sort of smiling anyway, but I'm like, I don't know if you needed to include this detail, but it's still cool that he's like writing the Avengers initiative right now.
Right, like right in front of you.
Yeah.
I know. I can't decide. Like, it might depend on how it ages on me a little bit. Like, it's such a thing. Like, I can't decide if it's super clever or super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, the other thing is, it's not like they really drew a lot of attention to the name of her plane at any point.
sure.
But I guess if they did, then you'd have seen it coming a mile out.
Right, which
You
would
can't just say the name Avenger anywhere in there.
Right,
and
right,
be
right.
like, wait.
Yeah. So are you happy with it?
At the moment, I'm happy with it. I was just like, because he wrote the Protector initiative on there at first, and I was like, well, clearly you know what he's writing. And then he looks down and he's like, oh, Avenger.
How about that instead?
Yeah, good name. So it's cool. It's interesting though. Like, are they then named after her? You know, to an extent.
Or is it more of like an inspiration?
Yeah, maybe it's it's interesting to think that she was the inspiration for all of them, even though she's introduced to you last of all of them.
Right. It's a cool way to run the lasso around the whole thing and sort of bring it full circle.
Yeah.
At the end, depending on like which chronological way you kind of look at it there. But I think that I didn't love it. I'm not even sure. I just think that it felt like maybe slightly low-hanging fruit, a little too on the nose. The other one, and we walked out of the movie theater and we had like our big crew with us, and everybody was really impressed with one particular detail that I figured out like literally instantly.
Which was what?
Which is the dog tag. So for the first half of the movie, they keep calling her Veers.
Yeah, like her name as a Kree is Veers. Yeah.
And ultimately, like the reason you find out, like there's this moment where like they pick up the dog tag and like it's been like obliterated so much that all that you can see left is VERS from Carol Danvers.
Danvers.
Yeah. And this was something like where I felt like everybody in the group was like, oh, that was so clever. I didn't even like pick up on it. And I was like, as soon as they called her Veers, I just assumed that they had just shortened her name.
Oh, so yeah, well, good for you.
Yeah.
Maybe some people will pick it up faster. I did not.
Okay,
But
you didn't? Okay.
No, I didn't until they did, and I was like, oh, that's so clever. I did think it was so clever.
Okay. Well, and this is the other thing too, like where we have now been slightly trained to look for everything in movies all the time and always. So I do think that like my magnifying glass was out for the entirety of this movie. Like,
For sure.
I was trying to absorb everything, and so that was one where maybe it was just me. I would be very curious to know like what you guys thought. Was that something like as soon as you saw it, you were like, "Whoa!" Like I get it, or was it more of like the reveal at the end?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of those notes.
What did you think about the reveal of the Tesseract in this movie? Like, did you think there would be an Infinity Stone in this one?
Oh, good question. Good question. Okay, so the Infinity Stone or not the Infinity Stone, but the Tesseract rather, the Space Stone, is interesting because of where we had last seen it, which is, like Steve crashes the plane with the Tesseract in it.
Right.
And maybe not even in it. I think it like burns through the hull of the jet and falls in the ocean.
Yeah, something like that. And then I think Howard Stark recovers it?
I believe so.
Right.
Yep.
And then you just see it in Avengers 1.
Right. So
Right,
it's
so
kind of been MIA for a while.
You think S.H.I.E.L.D. just has it the whole time.
Right, right. So it appears to be the case that for at least some period of time, there's been some study going on with it, which I also think opens up a whole bunch of doors for there to be like more information backfilled into that story. Kind of speaking to the idea of like, we know this movie takes place in 1995, but her crash, like where she, in 1989, like where she loses her memory and everything.
Howard Stark dies in 1992.
Right.
But we know he had it, and then Dr. whatever her name was.
Walters?
I
think it's Walters.
Had it as well. So it's like, were they working together? Did he know about the Kree? Did she confide that in him?
Right.
Or anything like that?
Like, is there any involvement? And then there's the other thing that I thought was kind of sort of fascinating is how that could possibly relate to in Iron Man 2, Tony like creates the new element using the information left to him by his father, like on the blueprint from So that's one of those where I'm like, it would be so interesting if if Howard Stark had been working with Dr. Walters in collaboration to create this element that they didn't quite have the technology to create that ultimately ends up powering Iron Man's suit, like way in the future. I know there's so many little pieces that
dots you can connect there.
And the only other super interesting thing, and I'll stop trying to do my crazy yarn board, is we know that T'Challa's uncle from Black Panther is in the United States.
Until 1992 as well.
Until 1992 in Oakland. But he's been there long enough to have had a child, so he could have been there well into the 80s, going backwards. So it's also possible that you'd have the introduction of a Wakanda resident with vibranium in the United States at the same time as Howard Stark with the Tesseract in the United States at the same time as
Dr. Walters.
Dr. Walters building her lightspeed cannon or jet or whatever. So I feel like there's a lot of little things flirting with that late 80s, early 90s moment where there's some pretty important people all kind of sort of in the same
area. Right.
It's I would be perfectly okay if they made another movie that told us a little bit of this stuff.
It's just all them.
Right, yeah, right.
They're the superheroes. It's just, whatever.
So that could be kind of interesting. But I feel like we haven't figured out how to tie all that mess together yet.
Yeah, no, not quite yet. But the journey of the Tesseract, it seems like it's all over the place.
It does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does.
But I think it's cool that her powers, I guess, are of the Space Stone. So she's a Vision level superhero.
Sure.
She is to the Space Stone as Vision is to the Mind Stone, maybe a little bit.
Right. Okay. And so that was a cool moment, where last time we've seen somebody really handle the Tesseract, other than maybe Loki, who we know to be god level,
godly,
was Red Skull, and it destroyed him and banished him to Vormir.
Yeah.
Where
Vormir.
he was to guard the Soul Stone. Carol walks up and picks it up it's an ornament. She puts it in a lunchbox.
Yeah,
which I thought was
hilarious.
Absolutely
the
amazing.
Fozzie lunchbox. That was pretty good. All of the 80s stuff on that ship was so funny.
Yes.
if I had the same pinball machine for 6 years, I'd have some high scores too.
Right. Wasn't the pinball machine like Space Invader type
something
of
like
something?
that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Lots of really cool details. That reminded me like of Guardians a little bit, where they were so good at keeping to the
Earth
theme.
stuff. Well, that was what's interesting. Yeah, there was some like Guardians feeling into like the choice of music you're allowed to get away with.
Yeah.
Like I think they're playing "I'm Just a Girl" during the final fight. That for me was such a fun fight.
It was.
I was just like, and you're like, wait, now can you have regular Earth songs in movies like this? Oh, of course you can. They're from Earth. Yeah.
Right.
And it's just fun.
Okay, so coming to, and we can like maybe start like rounding off a little bit here, but like her powers, I thought it was interesting the way that they rolled out. It sort of felt like there was never that moment where they were like at absolute like imminent danger, if not for her like sliding her power level to like 50.
Okay.
And I don't know, like I felt like when she goes like super crazy.
Yeah, like Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan there at the end, yeah. I don't know, like I almost wanted there to be a whole lot more that she needed to like I wanted them to be losing the battle with her at power level 9, and then it's like, okay, we gotta do this.
Yeah.
You know, and then comes in and just like, wrecks everything.
Yeah.
And like that, like in Infinity War when Thor shows up in Wakanda and like they're losing.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden it's like this tide turner. Really pretty much as soon as Carol starts mastering her powers, she pretty much just continues to kick butt basically for the rest of the movie.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. There's, I know there, yeah, I think, I know what you're getting at. Like, there's not a point where they're, like, there is a point where she hasn't, like, learned to fly yet and she's falling. And in that time, they launch a volley of missiles. And so she has, like, the time it takes her to learn how to fly, knock down the ship, fly up, and blow the missiles into each other.
Right.
But that's like, you're right. It's not like, oh man, they were invading from 3 points at once and all the heroes' forces were losing and suddenly she mastered it and got to all of them and...
Well, like such a cool moment would be like her starting to like use like all the photon powers full speed and everything and like really like winning. And then like I feel like what it really needed in so much of like the way that this movie was like sculpted for you was this idea of like falling down and getting back up again.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like what they needed was that last little like trigger to like where she gets knocked down, like as Captain Marvel, like like a powered Captain Marvel, and then like her last get up is like that's the last time.
Yeah,
she's
like
ever
you
fallen
thought
down
she
again.
already fell down for the last time, but actually
there's one more,
and
it's like she has to like really like lift herself up, and the process of doing so is like what throws it completely over the edge.
I still thought the powers were pretty cool. Oh man, I really would have loved it if when she was staring in at Ronan, like being all menacing, if she said something like "wanna dance."
Oh, I know.
As like a Guardians callback.
It would have even felt so fitting to her character.
Oh, I know. It seemed like something she would even say.
Right.
And it almost would have made sense for like then if like, you know, years later when Peter Quill says it to him, he's like, "What?
Like, why do people keep saying this?
What did you say to me?"
Yeah,
that would have been funny. Ronan, kind of a non-entity. I mean,
pretty much not at all.
Well, he says like some big threatening, like, "We'll be back for the girl," or whatever. It's like, but we know you die, so your threat is pretty empty already.
It is. Like, unless they have a plan to like fill in a little more information between 92 and 2008, when I think Iron Man picks back up.
I don't even care. I don't care. You know, it's like, I don't want to see the story for filling in a gap that happens. They don't need to fill in any more gaps for me before, like, after Endgame.
I know, I completely agree. But I mean, like, you know, so we've seen Star Wars do it, where it's like, let's explain, you know, like how the rebels got the plans. But so anyway, I mean, we've been talking for a long time. I feel like there was so much to unpack from this movie, and I'm sure that there's stuff we're missing.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm gonna go see it again.
Yes.
It's really good.
Oh, last final thing. I super hope that at some point in Endgame, there is a moment where Captain Marvel realizes that somebody either is or isn't Fury based on his toast order.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Like, tell me something so ridiculous about yourself that you couldn't have made it up. And he's like, "I can't eat toast if it's cut diagonally." Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing to look out for. Fury eating toast.
Fury eating toast.
That'll be so funny if you just like see it. Especially if they don't draw attention to it, you'll just have to like...
You have to know.
Notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great if he has a like if he's having like a diner conversation with somebody and he eats a piece of diagonal toast and then like, you know, whoever he was having breakfast with like later tells her and she's like, "What do you order? How was it cut?"
toast? Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh no,
He's a Skrull."
that would be right. I can see it happening.
It would be super, super cool. And that was like, oh, I just love their dynamic. Their riffing was so good.
It was good riffing.
Yeah.
Good riffing.
But anyway, guys, I am so curious to know what you thought about this movie. Be sure to leave in the towel section down below. Loved it, or super loved it?
Any questions you need answered? Theories you might have?
Okay, and my question for you. Do you know where you rank it amongst the Marvel movies?
I'm gonna say probably like top 5. Like, Infinity War is still my favorite. I don't know. It's like it's up there competing for like that spot amongst like Homecoming and Black Panther and Guardians for me.
Okay, yeah. So I'm like Infinity War and then Black Panther, and then for me it's like Iron Man, Guardians, Homecoming, and Ragnarok. Like I love them all so much that I feel like really in like my 3rd, 4th place is just like one big line.
Yeah, it's like
ties.
It's like a plateau of second
Right.
placers here.
Yeah. So, but no, at the end of the day, I would give it like a 9.5 out of 10. I loved this movie.
Thought it was good. Yeah, I would say, I'm going to give it a solid, like a 92.
A 92.
A 92.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Out of 10? Or
Out of 10. A 92 out of 100. A 9.2 out of 10.
There you go.
Whatever.
There you go. Okay,
Same
beautiful.
thing.
And guys, again, we have to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Loot Crate, and specifically the Gear and Goods box. This one is entirely Marvel themed. Let's check out what's inside.
Ooh.
Oh man, it's all the stuff, and this thing is packed in.
It is a lot of stuff.
Poster.
Boom.
We got a great one from one of our previous Marvel Loot Crates, which is now on the set right back there.
Pretty awesome poster. I think it's all S.H.I.E.L.D. characters. You got Nick Fury, post-Florkin attack.
Yeah! Up next, we got our shirt.
Always comes with a shirt.
Boom! S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy. That's actually super awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
What's up, recruit?
Woo! I'm ready to go. Where's my badge? Maybe not a badge, but there is some sunglasses.
Ooh, hey, UV protection.
Hey, how fancy! We got a box inside of a box.
Put that box inside of another box. Inside that box is
A bookend!
bookend. Okay, so this actually sort of makes sense. The last one of these was the other half of the bookend, which was Thanos, and he was holding up one side. So this time you have the Avengers holding up all your sweet books on your shelf.
That is pretty cool. That's like a total slow burn of
Yeah.
a thing. Like when you got the Thanos one, I was like, that's so strange. Like whoever thought they needed the Thanos bookend? But when you know the other end of it, it books it together.
It does.
And last but not least, we've got our pins here. Oh man, actually this is sweet.
Check it out. Falcon swoosh pin.
Whoosh! And then we've got like a very, very classy Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. pin here, which is really just quite gorgeous. Guys, if you would like to get your very own Loot Crate Marvel Gear and Goods box, you can do so by going to lootcrate.com/SuperCarlinBrothers. Use promo code Carlin for 20% off.
And if you order by March 15th, you can get the next crate. The theme of the next box will be Take Flight. So if you liked Captain Marvel, there's going to be a ton of Captain Marvel gear in that box. If you order by March 15th, you can be guaranteed to get that box.
And that is again lootcrate.com/SuperCarlinBrothers. Use promo code Carlin for 20% off your order. But guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
And if you'd like to see how Nick Fury is going to lose his eye, you can check out this video right here. Or if you'd like to see our review of Into the Spider-Verse, you can check out this video right here. But until next time, bye!